Sports Office on location at the South Broadway Cultural Center, and we're standing next to a legend on my left, Tony Dungy. You remember him, former Indianapolis Colts coach, and of course, Minnesota basketball fame too. Can we say that? Lawrence Gilligan to his left. People know about the Colts, but man, they don't know about that great game you had in basketball, right, Coach?
Well, I was here in 1973. We played in the Lobo Invitational. I was at Minnesota freshman basketball player. We played Bradley in the opening round. I actually had a big basket to get us ahead of Bradley, and that sent us into the finals against New Mexico, and they were a handful. They beat us, but it was just a fun trip and great memories for me.
See, I was giving you your chance to brag about your basketball skills and tell everybody, yeah, I could have gone to the NBA, I could have done this, but
no, I could have gone to the NBA, but had fun, enjoyed it. Basketball was actually my favorite sport, but I ended up at my size understanding that football was going to be a little bit better for me.
And one question about that, real quick here: how much do you miss football? And because it's something that it gets ingrained in you when you're doing it so long.
It does. I played for a long time, coached for 28 years, and was involved in the NFL for 31 years. And so you do get that feeling of this is what I do and enjoy it tremendously. And I have great memories. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, but I was able to step away when I wanted to and do some other things and get involved in some community service stuff. Still be involved in the game with NBC, but I'm enjoying life, and I miss football, miss the guys, but I don't think I'll be back.
What's it like coming back, going to different cities and kind of giving back to the community?
It's a great feeling, really. I look back at my life and my career and how much I benefited from people who reached out to help me. And that was always my message to our players. Hey, you get to the NFL, it's not just out of your ability. You had people that helped you along the way. We need to make sure we're doing the same thing. So to get an opportunity to come to Albuquerque and talk about Comcast Internet Essentials program, or do some reading at public schools or charity work, it's really gratifying.
How big of a role is it as a professional athlete? You see players now in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. They all kind of have to step up in the community as well. How big of a character thing is that when you look at a player?
Well, it's really important. And for me, when I was coaching, I wanted to see that because I know how much young boys especially watch these guys. And so many of these young boys now aren't living with their dads because of family situation, may not have the best home life, but they're looking at one of our players and saying, that's who I want to emulate. So just giving that kid some encouragement by what we do and how we do things, you never know how far that can go in a young person's life.
You start talking about young boys and stuff like that. It made me think about, there's a high school here, the kids are struggling. You're going to probably break have the losing streak as far as for the state. And how do you turn that around? What do you say to kids when they're struggling like that? I'm talking about Albuquerque High football. What do you say?
Well, so much of it is attitude, and I always talk about a sign that we had in our locker room. The only sign we had for 13 years that I was a head coach, and it was just 6 words: expectations, execution, no excuses, no explanations. And we can get caught up in, hey, we've had a losing streak, or it's tough to win here, or everything's against us. But we got to raise our expectations and then work at it to execute and not worry about what people say, why you can't do things. Sports is full of people that have taken things and turned it around. I look at the Kansas City Chiefs this year. 2-14, worst record in football last year. Oh, it's a tough situation. This year they're on top and undefeated. And all the difference is just maybe that much in chemistry and work and belief. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, there's a chance that Brian Urlacher could have been with you guys, huh? As far as I know you were looking at him when he was coming out here in New Mexico.
I remember Brian as a player and saying, boy, this guy would be perfect for our defensive system. The Chicago Bears beat us to the punch and drafted him. And then a couple of years later, one of my assistant coaches, Lovie Smith, left our staff and went there to Chicago. And I remember telling Brian, you're going to love Lovie, number one, but you're going to love this system, and it's going to put you in position to make some plays. And he probably went to 8 or 9 Pro Bowls after that. So he he was a great fit for the system and a great player.
What's the best piece of advice you can give? You can give a kid that's looking to try to play college football and maybe try to one day play in the NFL.
I tell kids all the time, you look at going to the next step of college or the next step of professional ball, it takes so much work. You have to be prepared to outwork everybody else that you're competing against, but don't put all your eggs in that one basket. Work as hard as you can at your sport, but work just as hard as the academic side, because even if you are fortunate enough to play and make your living in professional sports, you're going to have a short career. If you're lucky, you're going to be 35 years old, and you're still going to have 30 or 40 years to live after that. So don't neglect your academics.
Last question for me, I guess. You have your son that plays at Oregon. What's it like to be able to actually have the time now to kind of delegate and go and watch him play football?
It's great. I hadn't been to a college game in maybe 25 years, and so to go with my wife and sit in the parents section and hear the band and just see all the excitement on campus, it's been great, and we've been blessed. His first year they went to the national championship game, and next year they went to the Rose Bowl, last year the Fiesta Bowl, this year they're undefeated. It's been wonderful, but just being around that college atmosphere and seeing people play the game because they love it and seeing people support them, it's been pretty special.
You know, you've had that time because you're not coaching, but every time a coaching opening comes up, they're like, Tony, what do you do?
No, I'm really done, and I tell everybody that I can recommend some good people for you. I have no desire to go back into it. I'm really loving the lifestyle that I have now.
And then I believe that. Coach Tony Dungy, thank you so much for your time. Lawrence Gilligan, Robert Pugsley behind the camera. We'll see you next time.